Hello, listeners. This is Shanique Johnson, your climate and culture teacher. Welcome to the Buzz of Blake, where we celebrate the remarkable individuals making a difference in our community. Today, I am so excited to introduce the phenomenal principal of Howard W. Blake High School, Miss Valerie Newton. So as we dive into her journey, let's uncover the incredible story behind the leader who is shaping our community. So welcome, Principal Newton.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm so excited. This is our first podcast. So let's just start off with, could you share just a bit about your personal journey and what led you to become the principal here at Howard W. Blake? What drives your passion for education?
Oh, that's a loaded question. So, born and raised in Tampa, specifically West Tampa. So, when I was born, I lived in the North Boulevard homes, which are right across from where they used to be, right across from where Blake sits now.
Right.
So, I'm from here. Single parent home. I checked all the boxes for a person that would not make it if you were stereotyping.
Right.
But I had a mother who realized, even though she didn't have all the things in place that were like a recipe for success, she made it her business to provide me with opportunity so that I could be successful. So, like, my godparents were that two-parent home. She picked them so that they could help me see what she couldn't provide.
Right.
And so that exposed me to a lot of things. And it was always, you're going to college. Like, it wasn't even a thought process. Like, after high school, you go to college. And she prepared me for that. So when I went off to college at FAMU, after graduating from Jefferson here, it was literally what changed my life. So I'm in my first class at FAMU. It's a historically black school, and I'm sitting in a room full of people that look just like me. And I'd never experienced that before, because growing up in Hillsborough County schools, it was always one or two of us in a class that was not very diverse. And so I thought I was an exception. So what a beautiful feeling it was when I got to FAMU and found out that I wasn't an exception, that we were really a brilliant people. So that catapulted me. I came in as I'm still on my journey. So here, I came in as a pharmacy major because I wanted to make a lot of money.
Okay.
But early on in your coursework at FAM, they dive you right into some experiences so you could see what it's like to be a pharmacist. And I did a day at Eckerd Drugs, that's what it was called back then, and we did a day at the hospital.
Right.
It was boring. And so, because as a pharmacist, all they did was take the pills out of the big thing and put them into the little thing, do all the paperwork and put the labels on. I did not want to spend.
And that was not you.
That was not me.
Okay.
So then I went to chemistry, because that was going to give me what I wanted to do, the science, because I was a science math geek. So I wanted to put those things together. So I was a chemistry major. And so I thought I would just come out and work in a lab, maybe do forensics for a police department, something like that.
Right.
So fast forward, summer before my senior year, I needed a job. I took a job with Upward Bound.
Okay.
They had a section called the Regional Institute of Math and Science. And so it was a part of their summer program, but it was specifically geared towards kids that were interested in STEM. And I taught science in RIMS.
Okay.
And loved it. So much so that I added education as a minor. It added an additional year to my schooling, and that's how I became a chemistry teacher.
That is awesome. So before you continue, I do want to highlight two things. It's one very powerful statement you said, which was that you recognized you were part of something bigger, a brilliant group of people. And I just think that that's such a powerful statement to be said, because there are times that we feel like it's just us.
Right.
So that community piece really, that being the catalyst for your first experience in education really speaks volumes to the work that we're doing here and establishing that community for our students. So that's really exciting for me. And then secondly, the fact that you were able to take that experience and immediately impact and change the chart of your course.
Yeah.
So, and then we talked about this, doing new things is scary, but it sounds like you have no problem.
I don't. I really don't. Because I was always taught that the worst thing someone can say to you is no.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing. You just use that no to look for your next yes. Like, so I learned early on that failure is a part of being successful.
Oh my gosh, it's such a good lesson.
Yeah.
It really, really
So I don't get discouraged. You say, no, it's okay, then I'm just going to look for the next thing, because it doesn't change my belief in my abilities or what I deserve. So even though you tell me no, I just keep going.
So I think that kind of leads into what really drives you with your passion for education, and it really just sounds like the scientific process at work, like you're asking
absolutely all the time.
Oh, okay.
All the time.
So just a little background, I too am a math and science geek, and so having this conversation, I don't know if this is going to go too left for everyone else, but I really appreciate the fact that failure is a part of the process and that our leader knows this.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Good start. All right. So my second question, we often see leaders in their professional roles, but today we kind of want to get to know the person behind the title. So what are some things about you that might surprise your students and maybe even the community? Do you have any like hidden hobbies or talents that you want to share?
So I'm really just a normal, everyday, round-the-way girl. Like, my favorite things to do are to read something that has no professional anything, just total for leisure. Music of all kinds. I listen to just about anything.
Okay.
And if it has a good beat, I'm dancing.
Okay.
And people kind of find that out about me really quick. And the beach is my favorite spot.
Oh, wow.
So when I just need a moment, I need to go be near some water. And then I sing. Most people have learned that by now, but yeah, so that's what I do.
Okay.
Been singing since I was a little girl.
So the audience would just destroy me if you revealed a talent like that, and at some point I didn't make good on you sharing said talent. So
not in this podcast, but maybe in another time we'll come back and I'll sing a little something. You shot it, but not today.
Okay. So that still is a lot of good information, and thank you for sharing. I know that sometimes it's difficult, like letting people see behind the person behind, the role and the responsibility, because It is a huge one. All right, so next question. We talked about this a little before, the vital importance of community and connection, especially in a historical setting like Howard W. Blake. How do you foster a sense of community within the school? And then, in turn, what role do you believe that the school plays in the larger community, especially within the frameworks of Black History Month?
Oh, that's a big one. So I try to foster community by binding Blake. Like, so we got this 2 schools in one. We have this 2 schools in one. Gotcha. I do know proper English. So we got these 2 schools in one, right? The traditional side and the magnet side, and they tend to be very segregated. And so my goal as the principal of Blake, all of Blake, is to bring those 2 groups together. So it's very important to me that I create opportunities for students to see each other and what they do in their lane, so that you have an appreciation for that. So, inviting the magnet students to come out to support an athletic event, inviting
Correct.
the athletes to come support a magnet event, or just bringing those opportunities to them within their school day so they can see and interact, because that's how you create community. You show that we are all connected. We're all here for basically the same thing, and we are all part of a big family. And so when you talk about Black History Month and Howard W. Blake being one of the 2 historically Black high schools in Hillsborough County, we come from a great legacy, right? So like today we have alumni talking to students and talking about their time at the old Blake and the things that were in place then. Like, it's not an accident that we are a performing arts school, because the Blake of old produced celebrities. And so the folks that are in the theater today are going to talk about those people and the songs they put out and how you can still find them on YouTube and listen to them. And the kids are like, wow, so we didn't invent the arts here at Blake. Like, we had that connection.
Shocking. Our kids did believe that they didn't invent something. This didn't start with me.
No.
Shocking, right, in this day and age.
Yes.
So I love the way that you were able to create that connection, just even in your recounting of the events, that we need to be able to take time to reach back and to create those pathways and to maintain them so that we can continue to bridge our traditional and our magnet
Absolutely.
side. So I'm smiling from ear to ear because all this is so good. All right, so as we talk about navigating and charting, we know that challenges in education, they're tough, right?
Right.
And your role is crucial. How do you approach these challenges and setbacks? And then with that, is there any advice from your strategies that you can give to students facing their own hurdles?
So it goes right back to what I just said, right, with failure being a part of the path to success. So students tend to make mistakes. They're at that age, their brain is still developing, they're trying to figure it all out. And it's tough transitioning from childhood to adulthood, and it doesn't happen overnight, even though a lot of the students think that it does. And so giving them a safe space to make the mistake and then putting those restorative practices in place so that they can move on from them. I never hold on to a person's past. You know, you made a mistake, you learn from the mistake, and you move on. And as a spiritual person, and I guess I can talk about that, right?
You can do whatever you like. That's your school.
So as a spiritual person, I always look at God's mercy and grace towards me, and I try to extend that towards students. I try to extend that towards the adults that I work with, and I try to model for teachers, especially if they do something, and I don't hold it against them. That's how you should do with your kids. And so I always teach students that, you know, you're going to make mistakes.
To err is human. Yes.
And that's okay. And so no one should beat you up about that, and you shouldn't beat yourself up.
I think that we sometimes in society create the facade of perfection at the first shot, or that I did this in the first 5-10 minutes, I've mastered it. But ultimately, like you said, failure is a part of that process. And actually, it's so important because it teaches you what not to do.
Right.
So like that didn't work out so great. I'm not going to do that again. All right. So I really appreciate how you were able to bring that back to something that is very close to you. And I could hear that. And I really do appreciate, because it gives, even as someone who works here, a sense of like safety, that it's okay to make a mistake and that it's acknowledged as a part of the process. So,
and I want to say a big part of making a mistake is that accountability piece. Like, don't be afraid to own your stuff, because that's how you grow. Like, don't look for someone to blame on it. Like, I did this, I messed up, I'm going to learn from it and wait and see what I'm going to be after.
Own your stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
Okay. So even just sitting here, your leadership, undoubtedly inspiring. This is coming from several places, guys, all right? Can you share a success or a memorable moment made during your time that has really changed the way that you approach certain things?
So it would have to be when I was a principal at Burnett, actually.
Oh.
And I embarked on the whole school read when we read Ghost Boy. Right? And so Ghost Boy is a fictional story based off the Tamir Rice incident. You know, he was the young man who was shot and killed by police because they believed that the gun that he was holding was a real gun. It ended up being a toy gun. So, and I don't remember her name, Jewel something. She's the author of Ghost Boy. And she wrote the book, and it's written for middle school, right? And so we decided to do a whole school book read, like really pushing literacy. And for a week, the whole school read this book. And it's, you know, it's racial tension is high in the nation. So it was a topic that was kind of controversial to even tackle. But the book was made for middle-aged kids, and so it was appropriate. What I saw during that time, you got the author's name?
The author is Jewel Parker Rose.
There you go.
And the book is Ghost Boy. So
Yes.
it's a good read. So.
It's a great read. But what I found during that week, like no student got in trouble because we gave each teacher the lesson plan. It was an engaging lesson that students could relate to. And the kids were, during passing time, hurrying to get to their next class to read the next section of the book.
That's big.
They were in the cafeteria talking about what was happening in the book, and everybody on the campus was pretty much talking about the same thing.
Right.
There were no referrals during that week. There were no fights during that week. I only had like one student opt out of reading the book initially, but heard so many good things about it that they ended up coming in, reading the book. It was just, as a leader, to watch that unfold, it just taught me so many things. The power of an engaging lesson.
Oh,
the power of presenting content to students that's relevant to them. Right? Those are the things that we did. And so a kid who didn't even normally like to read, they read because it was engaging, it was relevant, they could relate, right? And so I told anyone after that moment, and I was 20 plus years deep in education, that was the most powerful time, and still is to date, that whole experience, going through that, because there was some community pushback. I had one teacher who refused to do the book because she thought I was bashing police. Like, it was a whole lot, and just taking her through that process as well, because she had her perception, which was changed because she found out it wasn't what she thought. And so it just opened so many minds. And so now I seek opportunities to engage and enlighten and expose people to relevant topics that can change them.
Okay, I have so many things I want to add to this, but first off, let's just put it out there. The importance of an engaging lesson, huge. Relevant content, so huge. And then it's that opportunity to change the perception. It's that opportunity to change mindset. And I think that's the biggest thing that we can actually work towards as a community. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you unlearn? It's as important as learning.
Absolutely.
So that, all smiles on this side, because it feels really good to be in a space where a shared vision is what we're really approaching,
yes.
Even if we don't agree on every aspect, but understanding that we all have to have the ability to look at things from different perspectives, mm-hmm. so that we can appreciate each other's contributions and move towards.
Absolutely.
Ooh, I need a clapping track, because some of these things are so good. All right, let's keep going so that we can get through all of these. What do I want to do next? Such a good story. All right. What message or words of encouragement would you like to share with our listeners, especially students, as they navigate? So we're looking for words of, although all of this was kind of like words of encouragement. I do want to say that. But is there something that kind of tethers you to your daily grind, or if there's something challenging, any word of encouragement or any mindset, anything that you would want to share with our students that they can do?
This one's easy. So, as I said, spiritual person. So one of my favorite scriptures talks about how God grants us brand new mercies each day. And so that is my mantra. That is what I live off of. And this is how I encourage students and teachers and just anyone listening. Each day is a brand new opportunity to do better.
Okay.
And so don't wallow in whatever it was that you did before that wasn't right. Take advantage of the brand new day, the brand new mercies that are being granted to you, and go be great.
Ooh,
go be great.
Okay. So, I have something similar, but it's not near as eloquent. It's more of a, just keep swimming by Dory.
Yes.
That short term.
Yes. Yes.
Excuse me, that was yesterday. I don't recall.
Yes.
We have a new opportunity today.
Yes.
All right, before we sign off, I have some questions I want to ask you, just very quick. All right, so first question is, drums or flats?
Flats, all day.
What?
All day, every day. Don't give me a drum.
All right, what are you listening to right now? What's on replay on your playlist?
Started this week, I Need Thee, Bishop Paul S. Morton, which is a old hymn that he just did on a record that it just shows my need for something bigger than me. So that's what's on repeat right now.
Okay, we'll dive into that next time. All right. What is one thing that is always on your person that you cannot live without?
It would have to be my telephone. Because there's so much great stuff in here. It's not just a phone. I mean, it's my Bible's in here. My pictures are on here. My games that I play. I'm a Candy Crush girl, so that's on here. Yeah, she's laughing, but my phone.
I'm going to tell you that our students are going to enjoy this so much because here we have an administrator, a fearless leader who understands what that device can do.
Absolutely. And I'm scrolling through Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, X, just like them. So there's that.
Okay, shock and awe. All right, so who's your favorite Avenger, if you had to choose?
So I wouldn't even know who, because, I'm not interested in either.
You're not?
What is the Black Panther?
He's an Avenger.
Okay, I'll take that.
You'll take the Black Panther?
Yeah. That's
Wakanda
it.
forever?
Forever and ever.
And then what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, my mom. So she had a Mark Twain quote that was in our kitchen. And I'm going to paraphrase because I don't know it exactly, but it says something like, never argue with a fool because listeners can't tell which is which. That's my thing. Yeah.
That's a good one. Never argue with a fool because listeners cannot tell the difference between which. All right.
That's a good one. That
is a good one. All right. Thank you so much, Principal Newton. Your insights, your stories, your incredible commitment to education. I feel like I've learned a lot just sitting here. Yeah, I know, and that was the whole point. It's been such a pleasure having you on the Blake Buzz. We look forward to continuing to collaborate and celebrate the achievements and stories that make our community so special. So until next time, dear listeners, stay inspired.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.